Recently, I did a video about the behavior management system that is used in early childhood settings and how it's closely related to gentle parenting. Over the years that I've been in education, um, I have stumbled across a book called Boundaries with Kids by Townsend and Cloud. Um, Actually, they have a whole series of boundaries with. They have boundaries with coworkers, boundaries with spouse, um, boundaries with family. They've got all kinds of them. But I read the one on boundaries with kids because I teach children, and one thing that I've found consistent, even though I've tried to use the other systems that uh, the powers that be want me to use, I've always come back to the same thing, and that is kids need boundaries. And that's how they feel safe, and that's how they feel secure, and how they feel that they're loved and cared for. Um, we're not being harsh, we're not being mean. There has to be limits and there has to be boundaries. And that's how they know that you care. How many times have you seen in the news a child, especially a teenager, who has just gone off the rails and has ended up hurting someone because they're drunk and they say their parents don't care, or whatever the scenario is, they always say, well, mom and dad don't care. If mom and dad showed that there were some boundaries and that they did care, then things would not be in the situation that they're in for their family. But children thrive on boundaries. And yes, they're going to push the boundaries because they, first of all, they want to see if you really mean it. That's why I said in the other video, you need to let your no be no and your yes be yes. Because they're going to push the boundary and they're going to see, does mom and dad or the teacher really mean what they say? Is this really that big of a deal that I'm going to get into trouble, or they're going to do this, that, or the other if I don't follow the boundary, if I don't stay within the boundary? So Dr. Townsend and Cloud, they do a very good job of explaining boundaries, why children need boundaries, why we all need boundaries. Um, and I think it really helps with behavior management. There's been so many times, especially this past year in my classroom, um, children, they will ask and ask and ask and ask, and I've already said no. And I had to get to the point this school year, and I've never had to do this before. I had to get to the point this school year where I had to say, I'm not mom, I'm not dad. When Miss Jenny says no, it's no. No matter how many times you ask me, I'm not changing my mind. This is the limit. This is the boundary. This is where I draw the line. And this is where you need to stay within. And with that, they stop asking. And with that, they realize I mean what I say. And they realize ultimately that I do really care. Yeah, you're going to get some pushback at first, but I had a whole class full of children who absolutely loved me, that told me every single day that they loved me. They gave me hugs when they walked in. They gave me hugs throughout the day. They gave me hugs when they left at the end of the school day. And it's all because I implemented boundaries. I wasn't I wasn't punitive about it, but I stuck to my guns and I said, this is the limit. This is as far as you may go with this behavior. This is as far as you may go with this particular situation, or there's going to be consequences. In our society today, unfortunately, this gentle parenting doesn't believe in consequences. And that's a big problem because kids don't think that there are any consequences for their actions, for their behaviors. We got to do better, people. We don't want to hurt our children. I get it. I get it. But at some point in time, we have to be the parent in the situation. We have to be the teacher in the situation. And we have to teach them what is acceptable and what is not acceptable as far as behavior, not only in school, but within the family and within society. And if you're always giving in to your kids, if you never set any limits, you never set any boundaries, yes to everything, every crazy little idea that comes into their head is yes, or they break something and you go out and you buy them a new one, what have they learned? They've learned nothing. And things don't have value anymore. It's really sad that our society doesn't see this, and that early childhood is going down this path. Yes, they're little beings. Yes, they have big feelings, but they need to learn how to cope with them. They need to learn how they are to manage them. They need to learn what is the acceptable way, what is the proper way to deal with our emotions, whether it's happiness, whether it's sadness, whether it's anger, whether it's frustration. They need to know the right way to handle something. And just because you give everybody a trophy because they played a sport, that doesn't teach them anything. That doesn't give them any incentive to try to do better, to be better, to advance their skills. It shows them that I made a minimal effort. I showed up, and look what I got. I got a trophy. We are raising a society, a whole generation, that we're going to be in big time trouble if we don't start realizing that we need to stand up and be the parent. We are not their friends. We are their parents. We are the teacher in the classroom. And we need to put limits and boundaries for these children. That is how they know that they are loved and that they are cared for. It's not punitive. It's not mean. It's love. I heard something one time, I won't tell you where, but the quote was, discipline is not abuse, but indulgence is. Let's think about that one, folks.